Have you ever wondered what could happen if you traded something real for something magical, something no one else believed in? Would you be brave enough to climb into the clouds just to prove everyone wrong? This is the story of a boy named Jack and 5 little beans that changed everything. Once upon a time, in a humble cottage nestled between green hills and a sleepy village, there lived a poor widow and her only son, Jack. They didn't have much, just each other, and a gentle old cow named Milky White who gave them milk every day. That milk kept them alive, warmed their tea, and bought them bread at the market. But one morning, Milky White gave no milk, not a drop. Jack's mother stood by the wooden fence, wringing her hands, tears welling in her eyes. "What are we going to do?" she whispered. "What shall we eat now?" Jack, though young, had a brave heart. He stepped forward and said, "Don't worry, Mother. I'll go find work." But she shook her head. "We've tried that, Jack. No one wants to hire a boy with empty pockets and no experience." She looked at the cow, her only treasure, and sighed. "We'll have to sell her. It's the only way." Jack didn't argue. He loved Milky White, but he knew they had no choice. With the cow's rope in his hand and hope in his heart, he started down the dusty road toward the market. The sun was warm on his back, and birds chirped in the hedges, but his thoughts were heavy. He walked and walked until, suddenly, he met a strange old man with a crooked hat and eyes that twinkled like stars. "Good morning, Jack," the man said with a knowing smile. Jack blinked. "How do you know my name?" "Oh, I know many things," the man chuckled. "Where are you headed with that fine cow?" "I'm taking her to the market," Jack replied. "We need the money." "Well, I have a better offer than money," said the man, reaching into his cloak. From his pocket, he pulled out 5 beans. But these were not ordinary beans. They shimmered with a soft, golden glow. "What's so special about those?" Jack asked, raising an eyebrow. "They're magic," the man whispered. "Plant them tonight and by morning, they'll grow straight up into the sky." Jack laughed. "Right, and I suppose there's a pot of gold up there too?" "Maybe," said the man with a wink. "Trade me the cow and you'll see." Something about the man, his quiet confidence, the glint in his eye, made Jack pause. Maybe it was nonsense. But maybe, just maybe, it was magic. "All right," Jack said, handing over Milky White's rope. "It's a deal." By the time Jack returned home, the sky was turning pink with sunset. His mother stood in the doorway, her face lighting up, until she noticed he was empty-handed. "Where's Milky White?" she asked. "I traded her," Jack grinned. "For these." He opened his hand to show the beans. Her face fell. "Beans? You traded our only cow? For beans?" "They're magical," Jack said quickly. "He said they grow into the sky." But his mother didn't wait. "Foolish boy," she cried. She snatched the beans and hurled them out the window into the garden. "No supper for you tonight, Jack. Not one crumb." Jack climbed the stairs to the attic, his heart heavy with guilt. He curled up beneath his blanket, not because he was tired, but because he didn't want to cry. What if the man was lying? What if he had truly thrown their lives away? But when the sun rose the next morning, something unbelievable had happened. A strange green light poured into Jack's room. He rubbed his eyes, stood up, and looked out the window, and gasped. A giant beanstalk, thick as a tree trunk and braided like a rope, had sprouted from the garden, twisting higher and higher into the clouds. It swayed gently in the wind, its leaves shimmering with dew. Jack's heart skipped. The man had told the truth. Without thinking, Jack opened the window, stepped out, and grabbed hold of the beanstalk. It felt strong and sturdy beneath his fingers. So he climbed, and climbed, and climbed, up through the misty morning, past birds and clouds, until the world below disappeared into a sea of white. At last, Jack reached the top. Before him stretched a long golden path that glowed under the sunlight. He followed it until he came upon a towering stone house, so tall it nearly brushed the sky. At the door stood a woman as big as a mountain and twice as stern. "Good morning, ma'am," Jack called out politely. "Could I trouble you for some breakfast?" The woman narrowed her eyes. "Breakfast? My husband's an ogre, boy. He'd eat you before you finished your eggs." Jack's stomach growled. "Please, I haven't eaten since yesterday morning." The woman sighed. "You'd better be fast, then." She brought him inside and gave him bread, cheese, and a jug of milk. Jack had only taken 2 bites when, thump, 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 the house began to shake. "Quick," she whispered. "Hide in the oven." Just as Jack tucked himself in, the ogre stormed through the door. He was huge, with a booming voice and a nose that sniffed the air suspiciously. "Fee-fi-fo-fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman." "Don't be silly," his wife said. "You're just smelling breakfast." Still grumbling, the ogre sat down to eat. Afterward, he opened a giant chest and pulled out 2 heavy bags of gold coins. He counted them slowly until his eyes grew heavy and he drifted into a thunderous snore. Jack crept out of the oven, tiptoed past the table, and grabbed a bag of gold. Without a sound, he ran, reached the beanstalk, and slid down until his feet touched home again. His mother couldn't believe her eyes. They had gold, real gold. They lived well for a while, but gold doesn't last forever. And so, one morning, Jack looked up at the sky and said, "I'm going back." He climbed the beanstalk once again, found the house, and this time waited in the bushes. When the ogre's wife stepped outside to fetch water, Jack slipped in and hid in the oven. Again, the ogre came home. Again, he shouted, "Fee-fi-fo-fum!" And again, his wife calmed him. After breakfast, the ogre called out, "Bring me the hen that lays the golden eggs." Jack peeked out and saw a plump little hen sitting in a velvet nest. "Lay," said the ogre, and the hen laid a shiny golden egg. Soon the ogre snored again, and Jack took his chance. He grabbed the hen, ran from the house, and climbed down just as fast. Now Jack and his mother were truly comfortable. Every time Jack said, "Lay," the hen delivered a golden egg. But Jack's curiosity tugged at him. What else is up there? He wondered. One bright morning, he climbed again. This time he didn't knock. He waited until the ogre's wife left the door open, then crept inside and hid in a copper pot. The familiar thumping came. The ogre stormed in. He sniffed, he grumbled, he ate. Then he said, "Bring me my golden harp." His wife set a beautiful harp on the table. Its frame was carved with stars and swirls, and when the ogre said, "Sing," the harp began to play a melody so sweet, Jack's eyes filled with tears. He had never heard anything so beautiful. When the ogre began to snore, Jack tiptoed to the harp and lifted it gently. But the harp cried out, "Master! Master!" The ogre woke instantly. "Thief!" he roared. He lunged across the room, but Jack was already out the door. He sprinted toward the beanstalk, harp in his arms, heart pounding like thunder. The ogre gave chase, stomping so hard the clouds shook. Jack reached the beanstalk and slid down. The ogre climbed after him, his huge hands gripping the stalk like tree trunks. "Mother!" Jack shouted. "Bring me an axe!" His mother ran out, gasping at the sight of the ogre halfway down from the clouds. Jack grabbed the axe and began chopping. One swing, the beanstalk shuddered. 2 swings, it started to tilt. 3 swings, and the beanstalk cracked and fell. The ogre tumbled through the sky and landed with a crash that shook the earth. And that was the end of him. Jack and his mother hugged tightly. They were safe. They had the golden hen and the magical harp, and they never went hungry again. But more than that, they had each other, and they had a story that no one else could ever tell. Because sometimes, the smallest seed, planted with a little courage, can grow into something bigger than dreams. Like, comment, and subscribe for more magical tales. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the next adventure.